Good morning, students. I welcome you all on your class 9th online platform, okay, which is provided by Jagriti Classes. We were doing chapter 5 of class 9th, that is fundamental unit of life. So in this chapter, we have still far discussed what do you mean by cell, then what do you mean by different organelles that are present in the cell. Then we discussed what do you understand by the term that is structural and functional unit of life. And we discussed why this cell is known as the structural and functional unit. Now for today's class, the next topic would be cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is again a very important part of your cell, okay? So what do you mean by cytoplasm? Before starting this, we have discussed in our previous video lectures about nucleus, and firstly we discussed about plasma membrane, which is also called cell membrane, and then we discussed about cell wall. So today's class, we'll start with cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is given as a very short account in your books. So what do you understand by the term cytoplasm? Cytoplasm is the fluid content of the cell. Okay? So the fluid or the liquid content present in your cells is called cytoplasm. Then next is what? When you prepare a temporary mount, I discussed in the previous video lecture what do you understand by preparation of temporary mount, and I showed you the procedure how to prepare temporary mount of onion peel. Okay, so while we prepare a temporary mount of any cell, then some regions of the cell get stained very darker in color compared to other regions. So if you stain your sample, that is while preparing temporary mount, if you have your sample here and you put the drops of dyes, which is the stain, and we discussed that the stains used in labs are safranin, methylene green, methylene blue, etc. So what we observe is that some regions get stained in a darker color or in a darker shade compared to the other regions present in the cell. So the regions which get darkly stained, likewise nucleus, okay, considering nucleus, if you observe this mount, then you will see under the microscope that nucleus is been shown in a darker shade or darker color compared to the other parts, that is cytoplasm. So you can say that cytoplasm is your liquid content or fluid content of your cell. So we can say the fluid content of cell is called cytoplasm. The next point or the second point would be that it is lightly stained region. It is a lightly stained region of the cell. This is a lightly stained region of cell. Okay, so whenever you prepare a temporary mount of any cell, then you would observe that the nucleus of the cell generally acquires a darker shade, whereas the cytoplasm, that is the liquid content, it would be stained in a lighter shade or in a lighter color. Then the third point is this cytoplasm is bounded by plasma membrane. So this liquid content or cytoplasm, it is bounded by the plasma membrane of your cell. Now these were the structural features or the physical features of cytoplasm. Talking about the functions of cytoplasm, then cytoplasm contains organelles, all the cell organelles, that is the organelles present within the cell, they float in this fluid content of the cell, that is cytoplasm. So the function of cytoplasm is, firstly, all the biochemical processes or the metabolic reactions that occur within the cell occur in this fluid medium, that is cytoplasm. So all biochemical reactions, or you can even write metabolic reactions, all biochemical processes and metabolic reactions takes place in cytoplasm. So one of the most important functions, that all the reactions which require a liquid medium or fluid medium to undergo, then they all occur in your cytoplasm. Next, you can write that all cell organelles, like we'll discuss in further videos, that all the cell organelles like mitochondria, lysosomes, Golgi apparatus, then you have endoplasmic reticulum, plastids, these all cell organelles float in cytoplasm. So all the cell organelles, for example, you can write endoplasmic reticulum, then you have Golgi apparatus, then you have plastids, lysosomes, mitochondria, okay, anything you can write. So all these cell organelles are present, these are present floating in cytoplasm. So this is what you should know about the term cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is the fluid content of the cell, then it is lightly stained. Whenever you prepare a temporary mount, then the region which you'll observe with a lighter shade would be your cytoplasm. Then it is bounded by the plasma membrane, or you can write the cell membrane itself. The functions of cytoplasm, major function is all the biochemical process and metabolic reactions occurring in your cells takes place in this region of the cell, that is in the cytoplasm of the cell. And all cell organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, plastids, etc. are present floating in the cytoplasm. So this account you should know about cytoplasm. Now next what we'll start are your cell organelles. So now we'll start up with the cell organelles, and the first cell organelle given in your textbooks is endoplasmic reticulum. So the first cell organelle is endoplasmic reticulum, which is often abbreviated as ER. Okay? Then what do you mean by endoplasmic reticulum? First I'll dictate you or explain you about endoplasmic reticulum, and simultaneously we'll write its structural points as well as its functions. So the first point about endoplasmic reticulum is that this is made up of a network of tubules and bag-like structures, or you can say vesicles. So endoplasmic reticulum, it is composed of, that is, it is made up of network, okay? You can write it is made up of many tubules, but I am writing it is made up of network of tubules, that is small tubes, very fine tubes are called tubules here. It is made up of a network of tubules and vesicle-like structure, okay? Vesicle means bag-like structures. Or we can write, as I am referring to the general term tubule, so I'll write, and many bag-like structures. So this is what you have, the composition of endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum is made up of a network of tubules and bag-like structures. These bag-like structures are referred to as vesicles. Then what you have next is, all these tubules and bag-like structures are interlinked with each other, okay? They are arranged in a sheet-like form. So these tubules and vesicles are present in a sheet-like form. That is, they all are interconnected with each other. You can write these tubules and vesicles are interlinked to each other. So they form a network-like structure. And if you observe the diagram which is given in your NCERT textbooks, either you can see the diagram of plant cell or of the animal cell, then the endoplasmic reticulum which is marked, it is having this type of structure. That is in the form of vesicles and tubules, and these vesicles or tubules are therefore interlinked with each other. So it forms a sheet-like interconnected network of vesicles and tubules. Then the next you have is what? You have two types of endoplasmic reticulum. That is, this ER is of two types. It can be your rough endoplasmic reticulum, which you can abbreviate as RER, and the next is smooth endoplasmic reticulum, which can be written as SER. Now, this rough and smooth are classified on the basis of their appearance. So, the basis of classification of the rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum, that is, this classification is based on appearance of ER, okay, of endoplasmic reticulum. This rough endoplasmic reticulum, why it appears rough? If you observe endoplasmic reticulum of any cell under an electron microscope or under a compound microscope, then you would observe that on the surface of rough endoplasmic reticulum, you have small granule-like structures, and these structures are called ribosomes. So, rough endoplasmic reticulum contains many granule-like structures, which are called as ribosomes. And in turn, because this smooth endoplasmic reticulum does not contain ribosome on its surface, so it appears very plain or soft and smooth. So this is the reason why you call it rough endoplasmic reticulum. A question can come in exam. This is again a very important point, that why this is known as rough endoplasmic reticulum. So the reason behind this is that because the surface of rough endoplasmic reticulum contains many granules, that is, these granules are of ribosomes. And what is the next we'll talk, that what is the importance of rough endoplasmic reticulum? So these ribosomes present on the surface of rough endoplasmic reticulum are responsible for protein synthesis. That is, they are also called the protein factory or protein synthesizing machinery. So these ribosomes are responsible for protein synthesis. Okay, so this, now what point we have written, you can include it in the functions of endoplasmic reticulum. That is, a type of endoplasmic reticulum known as rough endoplasmic reticulum contains ribosomes on its surface, and in turn these ribosomes are responsible for synthesizing different proteins required by the cell or required by the organism. The next functions would be, these we are discussing about functions. The next function would be that smooth endoplasmic reticulum is smooth because it does not contain ribosomes, okay? But smooth endoplasmic reticulum plays an important role in the synthesis of lipids. So it plays important role in the synthesis of lipids. And lipids are in general term called as the fat molecules or fat globules. So smooth endoplasmic reticulum is responsible for the synthesis of lipids, that is your fat molecules, whereas rough endoplasmic reticulum is responsible for protein synthesis. And now one more function which you can include, that because these endoplasmic reticulum are synthesizing proteins and lipids, and we have discussed when we were discussing plasma membrane that all the membranous structures, they are composed mainly of protein and lipids. So you can say that endoplasmic reticulum helps in membrane biogenesis. So this is again a very important question. You can be asked a direct question in exams, that what do you mean by the term membrane biogenesis? Membrane biogenesis means synthesis of membrane or the manufacturing process of membrane, formation of membrane you can say. Membrane biogenesis means formation of membrane. So this endoplasmic reticulum is responsible for membrane biogenesis. Membrane biogenesis means for the formation of membranous structures. And because you know which kind of membrane, if we take an example of plasma membrane, then you know because plasma membrane contains lipids and proteins, and therefore we discussed that plasma membrane was flexible, whereas cell wall, which was composed of cellulose, cellulose is a very rigid and complex polymer molecule. In turn, cell wall had a rigid structure, that is, it was not flexible. So we can say that it helps in membrane biogenesis. Membrane biogenesis means formation of membranous structures. The next point you can include that because we get protein and lipids from endoplasmic reticulum itself, so these proteins are used. These proteins, firstly, they are called the building block of our body, that is, they help in growth and development of any organism. Next function of proteins, that proteins are used for synthesis of enzymes, different enzymes required by our body. These enzymes are what? Enzymes are complex proteinaceous molecules. That is, they are made up of proteins. So we say that these proteins which are synthesized by rough endoplasmic reticulum, these proteins are useful for synthesis of different enzymes. Now you know that endoplasmic reticulum, mainly speaking smooth endoplasmic reticulum, helps in the formation of lipids, and these lipids in turn also provide you with energy, required energy, but these lipids have the main function, that is, the lipids which are synthesized by smooth endoplasmic reticulum help in production of, these lipids help in the production of various hormones which are required by the body to function normally. So lipids are used for the production of the various hormones required by your body. The next is what? This smooth endoplasmic reticulum, it synthesizes lipids, but it also has one major role, that is in vertebrates. What do you mean by vertebrates? I hope you understand the difference between vertebrates and invertebrates. You have learnt in your previous classes, I guess. Vertebrates which contain a vertebral column in their body, and invertebrates which lack the vertebral column. So in the liver of vertebrates, this smooth endoplasmic reticulum helps in detoxifying the body. What do you mean by detoxification? This term is in trend nowadays, okay? So detoxification is removal of toxins, that is removal of poisonous, unwanted waste substances out of the body. So in the liver cells of vertebrates, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, that is your SER, functions in detoxification. And detoxification is removal of toxins. Removal of toxins from the body. And what do you mean by toxins? Toxins are therefore the harmful, poisonous substances which are a waste for our body. These are not required by our body, but if these toxins will remain or will be retained in our body, then we would suffer from many other diseases and problems. So we require a process of detoxification, and in vertebrates, in the liver of vertebrates, you have your smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and this smooth endoplasmic reticulum helps in detoxification. So these are all the functions and the structural features of endoplasmic reticulum. That is, endoplasmic reticulum was what? it was composed of a network of small tubules and vesicles that were spherical bag-like structures. Now these tubules and vesicles are present in a sheet-like form, that is, they are present interlinked with each other. These are the interlinking bridges between the tubules and the vesicles. Next you have that endoplasmic reticulum can be classified into two different types, rough and smooth. Why this is called rough endoplasmic reticulum? Because it has some ribosome granules on its surface. And what is the function of ribosomes? Ribosomes help in the synthesis of proteins. Next you have what is SER, that is your smooth endoplasmic reticulum. It is smooth in appearance because it does not contain any ribosomes. Then it helps in the synthesis or formation of fats or lipids. These lipids, this smooth endoplasmic reticulum present in the liver cells of vertebrates, it helps in the process of detoxification. The next you have is the function of lipids is what? It helps in the production of various hormones, whereas proteins are required for the synthesis of enzymes. Because enzymes are what? Enzymes are complex proteinaceous molecule. So we know that enzymes are made up of proteins, and from where these proteins will come? These proteins would be synthesized by ribosomes. So this was whole account of endoplasmic reticulum, including all its functions and the structural features. Now next what we'll do would be your next cell organelle, that is your Golgi apparatus. This Golgi apparatus, or you can say Golgi apparatus, this was discovered by Camillo Golgi. Okay, so hence it is named as per the name of its discoverer, that is, it is called Golgi apparatus. Why is it known as apparatus? Because apparatus signifies a group. Okay, so this is also a network-like structure or a group-like structure. So Golgi apparatus, it is a network of small tubules. In endoplasmic reticulum, you had a network of what? A network of tubules plus the globule-like structures, okay? The vesicle or bag-like structures. Whereas Golgi apparatus is a network of small tubules which are arranged. These fine tubules are arranged in a parallel manner, or you can say these are arranged in the form of stack, in a parallel manner, in form of stacks. Stacks is what? When you place one tubule over the other tubule, that is one above the other, then you have a stack-like arrangement, okay? Likewise, you form a bundle of tubules. This is called stack. And these stacks are called cisternae. So if you get what do you understand by the term cisternae, then you can write it is a network, it is a type of arrangement observed in Golgi apparatus in which the small tubules of this Golgi apparatus is arranged in a parallel manner, one above the other. So Golgi apparatus seems to be something like this in structure. And I am repeating, you can see its structure which is better given in your books. So in this manner, Golgi apparatus is a network of fine tubules which are arranged in a parallel fashion or parallel manner. Then the next is what? This Golgi apparatus has many functions to be carried out. That is the last which we discussed, endoplasmic reticulum. One major function of endoplasmic reticulum, you can say it is a synthesizer. Synthesizer term means it is responsible for synthesis operations or synthesis process, that is, it is responsible for synthesis of proteins. But here what we are discussing, the Golgi apparatus, this Golgi apparatus helps in packaging, storage, and transport Okay, so transport of any substances or materials of useful materials. That is, what you have as endoplasmic reticulum, it has the process, or it is useful for the synthesis. Okay, it synthesizes protein within it. Now this endoplasmic reticulum is connected to Golgi apparatus. So once proteins are made in the endoplasmic reticulum, they are being transported to your Golgi apparatus, and now this Golgi apparatus is useful for the storage of protein, for packaging of protein, and transport of protein to various parts of the cell which require proteins. So Golgi apparatus helps in packaging, storage, and transport of useful materials like proteins, lipids, etc. Now the next function of Golgi apparatus, apart from this, that is apart from packaging and storage, which was the major function, then it has a function, it produces complex sugar molecules from the simple ones. From simple molecules. So this is yet another important function of Golgi apparatus, that it helps in the synthesis of complex sugar molecules. So these were the important functions which we should know about Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus was discovered by Camillo Golgi. It is a network of small tubules which are arranged in a parallel stack-like manner. These parallel stack-like manner are called cisternae. Then next you have that the major function is of packaging, storage, and transport. And then next, that it helps in the production of complex sugar molecules from the simple sugar molecules. Then you have certain questions given in the NCERT books. Please do practice all the questions which are given. Then we have done this cytoplasm, we have done endoplasmic reticulum. The next we did now was Golgi apparatus. Now another function which is given in your books, that is the last line of Golgi apparatus given in your textbooks on page 64 is, Golgi apparatus is also involved in the formation of lysosomes. So you can include one another function, that it is responsible for formation of lysosomes. And we'll study what do you mean by this term, that is what these lysosomes are, again a very important cell organelle. So we'll be starting now with lysosomes. This was all about Golgi apparatus. So now our next cell organelle to be studied would be lysosomes. Now what are lysosomes? Lysosomes are membranous structures which contain digestive enzymes in them. So these lysosomes, generally these are spherical in shape. Okay, their general shape may be regarded approximately spherical. So these are spherical in shape. Then these lysosomes, the common name by which they are referred to and by which you will get the question in exam is, these are known as suicide bags. These are called as suicide bags. So we can ask why these are known as suicide bags. We'll discuss it later. Then the next point is, these are spherical. They are covered by a single membranous structure, a single membrane. Remember, I'll tell you at the last class of this unit, when we'll be doing the last class, which would be probably one more class I would be requiring to complete this whole unit. So we'll discuss in the last that which organelles contained a double membrane. Like if I say that nucleus, so you'll say nucleus had a double membrane which was nuclear membrane. But these lysosomes, they are covered only by a single membranous structure. Then the next point would be, they contain digestive enzymes. And these digestive enzymes can also be referred to as hydrolytic enzymes. So lysosomes are generally spherical in shape, and these are a membrane-bound organelle which contain a complex digestive enzymes, or you can say hydrolytic enzymes. And these enzymes, what is the function of lysosome, or what is the function of these hydrolytic enzymes? These enzymes help in the breakdown of any food particle or any foreign matter which enters from the outside to the cell or within the cell. So these enzymes break down any foreign material. Here this foreign material can be any foreign material refers to any substance which enters inside the cell from the outside. That is, any substance which does not belong to the cell, it has entered from the outside of the cell. And this foreign material, for example, can be any pathogen, that is, it can be a bacteria, a virus, or it can be your food particle, or any other material or substance. Then these enzymes function to break down this foreign material into simpler forms. And so we can say hydrolytic. Here lytic means enzymes involved in breaking process. Okay, you will see a term lysis or lytic in science. This is a very general term, and it is used for breakdown process. If you want to display a breakdown process, then this term is used. So these digestive enzymes function in breaking down any foreign material which enters into the cell. The next function of lysosomes, or I'll tell you the answer why these are known as suicide bags. If you are asked which cell organelle is known as suicide bags, then you will say lysosomes are called suicide bags. Now next question would be, why lysosomes are called suicide bags? So the answer would be, whenever any cell gets damaged, then what these lysosomes do, the lysosomes burst off, okay? These lysosomes which contain the hydrolytic or digestive enzymes, whenever any cell gets damaged, these lysosomes burst and release all their digestive enzymes inside the cells. And hence these digestive enzymes destroy the cell completely. The damaged cell is destroyed completely by these digestive enzymes of the lysosomes. And hence the death of the cell occurs. So this is why these lysosomes are called suicide bags, because these lysosomes which are present inside the cell is itself responsible for the death of whole cell. So the answer to this would be, when any cell gets damaged or injured severely, these lysosomes burst off only during the time of severe injury, okay? And why these lysosomes do so? Because the damage or the injury is very severe, is on a very extreme amount, and this cannot be repaired. And if this cell is not made, or if this cell is not destroyed, then it would affect whole the life process of any organism. So this cell, we need to get rid of the cell, and to get rid of the extremely damaged or severely injured cell, these lysosomes are responsible. So when any cell gets damaged or injured severely, then lysosomes burst and release, these lysosomes burst and release all the hydrolytic enzymes which ultimately destroys your cell, which ultimately destroys the cell. And you can add one more line for the completion of your answer, that In turn, the lysosomes which were contained inside the cell are responsible for the destruction of cell. They are known as, hence they are known as suicide bags. So this would give you a complete answer to why lysosomes are called suicide bags. And this was an explanation about lysosomes. This is the complete account. Every point I have included, I have tried to include each and every point and to give you a detailed explanation about lysosomes. If a question is asked, describe lysosomes in detail, and if you remember these points, then I think this would be enough, okay? So you can take the screenshot also, you can remember and copy these points in your notes. This is what you mean by the term lysosomes. Now next what we have is mitochondria. So we'll be discussing, I think, mitochondria in our next class. And now what we are left with is mitochondria and plastids. That's it. And in the next class we'll be doing then mitochondria. Then we'll be doing plastids. Remember, mitochondria is responsible for giving you energy, that is giving energy to the cell. So mitochondria is also known as powerhouse of the cell because it produces whole energy which is required by the cell. So please remember these important terms, that lysosomes is referred as suicide bags, whereas mitochondria is known as powerhouse of cell. Then the question which you get from mitochondria is, it supplies energy, therefore it is called powerhouse. But it supplies energy in the form of what? That is, in what form this mitochondria supplies energy to the cell? So the answer would be, this mitochondria supplies energy in the form of ATP. Okay, we'll be discussing in detail. I am just giving you a general idea. So ATP is what? The full form of ATP is adenosine triphosphate. That is, it is an energy moiety which contains 3 phosphate group. That is adenosine triphosphate. And adenosine, okay, this is apart from our discussion at this level. So ATP is also known as energy currency of the cell. So this is again a general question asked in examinations, that lysosomes are known by what name and why. Mitochondria is known as powerhouse. Why so? And this ATP, that is the form of energy, it is also abbreviated or called as energy currency of the cell. Then next we'll have a discussion on plastids. What do you mean by the term plastids? Remember, plastids are only present in plants. Animal cells do not contain plastid, and a very important plastid present in plants is called chloroplast. Plastids are generally classified into different categories based on the color in them. If they are green colored, then they are known as chloroplast. If they do not contain any color, then they are known as leucoplast. And if they contain a color other than green color, that is other than chlorophyll, if they have any other color, they are called chromoplast. So this was an introduction about plastids. Then you have next is, okay, these are only the cell organelles. Then I'll give you a brief idea about some other, that is vacuoles. Okay, the function of vacuoles and everything we'll discuss. This is not included, but we'll discuss in 2 to 3 lines. Then next, in the ending, I'll be giving you a brief description about plant cell and animal cell, or I should say a brief comparative account about the differences in animal and plant cell. That is one difference you already know. Plant cell contains cell wall, animal cells do not contain cell wall, and the remaining topics we'll discuss the differentiating points. And next what we'll do in the end would be the classification of membranes, okay, or the classification of organelle based on membrane. That is, which organelle contain single membrane and which are bound by a double membrane, and which organelles do not have any membranous structure around them. So this would be the completion of your chapter, and then if you have any sort of doubts, you can contact us. Okay, do learn these chapter. I am giving you everything in the form of points so that it would be easier to make notes and easier to get and understand the concepts. And you have any sort of query, then you can ask me anytime. So thank you for joining the class. Stay home, stay safe. Goodbye.